Let's see, who are we missing? Is Kate? Kate is sitting in for Frank. Let's see if Kate's here. Well, that's fine. All right, well, at 2 o'clock, we might as well start. Trustee Lindley cannot be here today. I'm taking his place as far as the chair, and Trustee Fishman will be sitting in also, along with, oh, wait, we're missing, oh, I'm sorry, I thought we're missing one. Oh, with Caroline, there she is. Got it. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna call the meeting in order. Can I get approval of the regular minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
We have a move. Do we have a second? Miss Margaret?
Yes, I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. From there, Glenn, are there any, we'll go into the open session as far as the public. Are there any comments from the public?
No, there are no
Anything?
public comments.
Okay, I see one hand raised here.
I see it as well.
I'm seeing, okay, if that's a public comment, so I'll let you, do you click on that or I click on it?
Let's see. It seems this member of the public is calling in. If you're calling in, you have to dial *9 to unmute yourself.
Actually, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hi, I'll go ahead and give you a quick comment. This is Mike Vonderpoort, and I'm calling in, and I'm on a phone, unfortunately, on the road. But I wanted to talk briefly about the ideas of verification and validation. I'm sure these are concepts that are familiar to many of you working on these building projects. But verification is the question of, does a design meet a specification? And we're talking about engineering specifications usually, and these come from experience and from science and from measuring the strengths of materials. And they come from experience, like when we have earthquakes, when we take a look at are our designs good. But beyond verification, we have validation. And that is the question, does it work? In a design, does the design work? And there's a great example that happened in Healdsburg, unfortunately, a number of years ago, where there was a road construction project, and they put up all the cones and all the flashing lights and all the signs to make sure that people were safe while they were doing that construction on 101. And the driver managed to miss the signs and whatever, and there was a death. And they went back and they did a careful evaluation of and they verified where the cones, was every cone in exactly the right spot? Was every sign up? Was every flashing light working? And the answer was yes. And so the conclusion was, okay, something really weird happened here and we had a problem. A couple of weeks later, there was an almost identical death. And at that point, the conclusion was that the validation, that is, whatever it was, it was verified, but it didn't work. The validation didn't work. And so we have to look carefully at things to see if to verify they work, but also to validate. And Caltrans has the advantage they're working with high frequency, but relatively low impact issues. Unfortunately, that was a couple of deaths. When we deal with construction projects at colleges, we're talking about low probability, low frequency, but things that could have high impact. And so the question I keep coming back to, and I've been looking at it for a couple of years now, has to do with fire safety. When I took a fire safety class at SRJC, I was taught one of the things we learned was you never diminish the width of an exit as an exit path as people leave a building. You always make it wider. And that is, you don't want to have those constricting points. You don't want to get people caught if there's a mass exodus for some reason. And an analogy, when you look at people leaving a building in an emergency, I think the best analogy is that of a stream of paintballs coming out of a fire hose. They're individual little elements, but you don't want them colliding with each other. You don't want them squishing each other. You don't want them flattening each other. Every time you have a narrowing, you end up with a crush point, an impingement point, you end up with a death point. And the key place I've been looking at for the last 2 years, and I've not been able to get any response to, is the Luther Burbank Auditorium. When you leave that building, there are 3 6-foot wide exits. You cross a short porch, and you get to 3 5-foot stairways. And to me, that just looks wrong. It feels wrong. It sounds wrong. And I'm asking that somebody take a look at it. The other one I'm now noting is over at Pioneer Hall, the emergency exit. I think it's on the north side. You come out of a 6-foot, it looks like 6-foot door, and then you've got a 3-foot stairway, but you also have a ramp which goes 90 degrees. And when people come flying out of a building in an emergency, they're not stopping, they're not thinking, they're not looking, and they're certainly not going to make a right turn or a left turn and go along the side of a building, which might be on fire or just have suffered earthquake damage. So,
Michael, you have 30 seconds left to complete you've already gone over 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll just finish up here. So we need to look at the verification on these designs. We also need to look at the validation, but also we should go one step further, and that is this committee and the staff should be looking to do good design overall. And I'll invite you to take a look at those, and I would love to take a look at those with some of the staff if they're willing to talk. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments, Glenn? Any hand raised?
No, there are no other comments.
Okay, and what I will do is at the end of the meeting, I will open it up to public comment at the end of our board facilities meeting. Okay, with that, close the open session. I'll be turning it over to Kate. There's Kate right there. Go ahead, Kate.
I don't have much for you. Dr. Chong did not tell me what to say, so I will.
Why don't you say what a good-looking staff you have on the screen of everybody, and we can turn it over to Seraphim.
I'm with you. They are fabulous. They are the best, and they're pretty cute too. So, I will go say kind of what Dr. Chong's been saying everywhere, which is just a reminder that on April 19th, the district is excited to be reopening our doors to our community for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then after commencement, we will be going to 4 days a week when we start our 410 schedule, so Mondays through Thursdays, and then reopening in full, hopefully after our 410 schedule at the end of July. So we are really excited, and that is our main focus in life right now. That's about it.
All right, Seraphim.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me prepare my presentation here. Okay, so we'll start with the Purchasing Department update. There are 2 current solicitations in progress. One is the Enterprise Resource Planning software system. Again, this is going through the demonstration process phase. So that one is still ongoing. And then there's also a bid out in progress for the Schoen Farm produce processing coolers installation. This is a CUPTA bid. It's estimated at $180,000, and bids are due on the 14th of April. There are 3 items that are being presented to the board for approval next week. The first one is the pest management services. There were 4 proposals that were received. The low bidder is Pest Master Services at $375,000 for 5 years. And this contract would be funded by the general fund. There's the digital scoreboard for the athletic field. 3 proposals were received, and the award recommendation is to digital scoreboards at $147,471. And this, again, is funded by a combination of the foundation funds, including AD Trust account, Track Foundation account, and the Football Foundation account, PCAT, and other donations. There's also the award of contract to the Towser Gym structural testing assistance. Again, this is a requirement that was made by DSA for us to do structural testing on the existing building, and the results of this testing will support the completion of the design. This was bid out under a CUPCA, and Dileski Family Construction is being recommended to award the contract at $141,617. And there was 1 contract awarded since our last BFC meeting, and that went to Norby Electric at $91,000 for the electrical and AV wiring for Newman Hall, and that funding source is Measure H. Next up is the IT update by Kevin.
Good afternoon. The first bullet point's a little bit dated in that we are obviously past the week of March 28th. Last week, Aleutian came in and we, as a district, looked at many demonstration sessions from Aleutian on a variety of their software offerings. And so next week we'll be meeting with Anthology. I honestly couldn't think of a more interesting dichotomy between these two. As you probably all know, Banner is the big dog in the CCC system, and Anthology is very much an up-and-comer and getting their foot in the door. And so it's really going to be interesting to see which way the district lands on this. I don't know that I don't think there's any way to lose. We need to move in that direction, but it's really going to be an interesting process, and I'm really excited about moving forward. If you're interested in getting some more information about what's going on and when it's happening, there's a link on the slide here. The technical demos are happening on the 19th and 20th of this month. And my final bit is about the Busman Data Center. As I mentioned a while back, we finally got the fan test passed, so the pressure's up, so we could get the fire suppression system certified. So that's up and running, and now we're finishing the process of moving the last few bits of hardware from the old side of the data center into the new data center. And that completes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up on capital projects reports, with April being our, including our Earth Day and celebration of sustainability in the world, we did decide to share with you a little bit more information on our sustainability projects. So David Liebman is going to give a general update on the projects that are in progress, as well as share information with you on some of the results that we're actually able to see now. David?
Thanks, Arifin. Good afternoon, everyone. So starting with one of our last remaining sustainability projects, we have our central plant project. So we've begun testing and commissioning the plant and validating that the system is running and that we are efficiently heating and cooling multiple buildings. We're also finalizing the controls programming for the heating of the current indoor pool and the future new CAD outdoor pool. And then also our 50,000 gallon reclaimed water tank has been completed, and it has been already filled with sump water, and we're looking to do the cutover to start the irrigation of the athletic fields, the soccer fields in the month of April. And just a fun note, it only took 1 day for the tank to get filled with the sump water that comes from the Quinn basement. So there is a lot of water, which we are now going to capture and we are going to use. And again, we expect that the amount of water we're going to capture and use will be about a 10% reduction in what we currently get from the city of Santa Rosa, which is huge.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Quick question. You said you're getting that water from the Quinn Center.
Mm-hmm.
And so where is that then? So help me out. So where is that water coming from the Quinn? Is that not leaks there, or is it the sump, or is it?
Yes.
Where is that coming from?
It is the sump system. So when it is kind of understood from some old watershed maps that Quinn Swim Center and the Santa Rosa campus is built on the wellspring head of what was Pomo Creek, which is now further down on the other side of 101. And when they constructed Quinn, they dug the foundation too deep and hit an alluvial spring. And so since the 70s, there has been 2 large sump systems in the basement that prevent the basement from flooding, which is called nuisance water. And that was currently just going into the storm drain. And that's what we're capturing.
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember. I just wanted to be sure there wasn't any leaks there. Good, excellent.
Yes, it is not the pools. We are not losing water from the pool and then recapturing it. And then the current pictures you can see here is the new fencing that's gone up around the central plant and the cooling towers, as well as the glazing that allows you to see into the new central plant and see all of the new equipment. So on the left-hand side are the brand new sump pumps that take the sump water. And then on the right-hand side is that new 50,000 gallon tank. All right, and so just an update on the SRJC microgrid project. So we've been working on Sundays, late at night, continuing to do testing and analysis of the system. So we've integrated all of the microgrid assets on the Santa Rosa campus. We've continued to do a number of presentations. More recently, we gave a presentation to UC Berkeley's Sustainability Department and their Vice Chancellor of Capital Projects, since they are currently looking to build and design a microgrid in the future. So they came to us. We're working with PG&E on required witness testing and also helping them. PG&E currently does not have a validated process on how microgrids go through their requirements. And so we're working with them to really set up that process and how they witness a microgrid and how they validate it. And then finally, we had a number of abstracts and papers. This current one that has been accepted by the Association for Energy Efficient Economies that we're going to present on this summer. So we're just continuing to get the word out and continuing to test the system on the weekends and really validate it. And so I was hoping I'd have a video for you all, but we had some trouble with the video. And I'll find another time to work with Seraphin to get it sent out. On the right-hand side in the picture, you can see in the background, there's a light, a kind of a lamp that's glowing. And what you'll hear and see in the video is that we essentially go into an island condition where the main breaker opens and nothing happens. And so it's kind of anticlimactic because the light doesn't flicker at all. But what that means is that in less than 30 milliseconds, we separated from PG&E and we maintained the entire Santa Rosa campus. No computers turned off, nothing even blinked. And that's about 21 buildings and close to 1,000 kW load, which is the equivalent of over 1,000 homes that we instantly power without anything dropping. And so it's the first of its kind system that's really achieving this and achieving this on that larger scale. And so we're continuing to showcase this and validate it. And right now, our current study is working on how to tune the reconnection to have a seamless reconnection to the utility. And we're working on that with PG&E.
That's great.
Oh, turn sideways. I don't know if the video will work, Seraphin.
Okay.
All right. So next we have an update on the automated demand response programming. So that programming's been ongoing, updating all the buildings. As a reminder, it's allowing our buildings to be centrally controlled to do a number of pre-programmed settings. We have a fire mode, which will unfortunately help us in the future, but allows us to instantaneously close all of the outside air intakes so that we're not bringing smoke into the buildings. We have a COVID mode, which allows us to pre and purge air through the buildings, pre and post occupancy, and allow for 100% outside air. And then we have a demand response, which allows us to essentially respond to changing grid conditions should there be a microgrid event before we would have to disconnect buildings. What I want to show you all here is an update with, thanks to installing the submeters, we are now really able to see on all of our campus, specifically our Santa Rosa campus, the breakdown of actually where our energy is going. And so that's really allowing us to begin to do targeted approaches of how our building are operating, which building uses the most. So I can go to Kate and say, Kate, we really need to look at this building because it uses 30% of our electricity. We already knew this. We knew that Doyle and Bertolini were our largest buildings using electricity, but what we didn't know was that actually Bertolini tops it. So Bertolini uses over 33% of our entire electricity annually on the Santa Rosa campus, which did actually surprise me. I expected Doyle Library to be our #1. And so because we have that data, we can now begin to do the targeted approach to really validate that our buildings are operating well and come up with future projects to improve our efficiency and sustainability. And then lastly, again, using sub-meter data, we are now doing more targeted approaches to look at water, especially in our drought conditions. We've currently identified on the Santa Rosa campus between 200 to 300 gallons an hour in terms of water leaks in our old 8-inch water mains. And so we are beginning to use our sub-meter data to isolate our water use and valve off certain sections of our infrastructure when no one's around on the weekends during spring break to begin to find out where these leaks are, with the hope that in the future, once it's been identified, we will address it. And it's looking like between 1.5 to 2 million gallons of water a year, almost 10% of our water use is going in leaks through our old 8-inch lines, which were originally installed back in the 70s. And so this is the targeted approach to sustainability that we're only able to do because we've been able to install sub-meters and get this data and analyze it.
Thank you, David. Yes, Maggie, you have a question?
No, it's not really a question at all. It's just, it's so impressive. I'm hoping, Seraphin, for the April meeting next week, you're going to highlight some of this stuff because it's pretty darn cool. I hope you probably already are because you're always one step ahead of me. But if you're not, please do. Okay. Okay.
So I totally agree with you. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for David before we move on?
Yeah, I've got one, David. Well, I know it's the biggest building, the Bertolini Center. It's also one of the newest buildings, correct? Isn't that the most recent building? I mean, roughly. But wouldn't that be more, I would just thought the efficiencies would be a little bit better because it's the newest, latest technology when it was built. That's kind of surprised me that it's so high.
Yeah.
I know it's the biggest building. I mean, I'm sure you factored that in because you were thinking it was the library, but and that's a new building too, but I was just surprised that it's that much higher. I just want to get your.
Yeah. Well, I can just briefly say to that, one of the interesting things we found at the Santa Rosa campus is, I did think Doyle would be the #1 because Doyle is the largest building at 140,000 square feet, and then Bertolini is the second largest. A lot of it is because Bertolini has food service, which, I think significantly increases the electricity use. But in Santa Rosa campus in general, what's been interesting to see is a lot of the older buildings originally didn't have any cooling, right? So Towser Gymnasium, Lunabis, and now we are starting to add cooling for good reasons. But the climate really didn't have cooling. And so I was starting to see that the newer buildings almost didn't look more efficient compared to the older ones. But part of it was I have to adjust for those older buildings didn't have any cooling in it, which uses electricity. So, but I really can now go back and validate, and Seraphin has seen, we're going back with our new buildings like Kundi Hall, and we're actually validating that the buildings are operating the way that it was designed with its energy profile, which is another thing we're doing.
And just help me out to refresh my memory. I can't remember how many for the coolant from the wells that were dug out front, that whole system. How many buildings does that go to? So
right now, in the front Burbank Circle, that serves Bertolini Hall. And then in the football field, we have a total of 330 wells, and that serves Burbank. It's also tied into the central plant to provide additional cooling at the plant. And then we're working on Garcia will be tied in once it completes construction, and then Forsyth, and then we planned in the future for Annalee Hall. Okay. Good.
Okay. Thank you, David. Next, we'll have Dan Exoby report on the outdoor Wi-Fi project.
Good Good afternoon, everyone. What you're looking at here are some pictures from the Public Safety Training Center showing installation of the new outdoor Wi-Fi. And in the lower left, you can see it's in the upper left-hand corner of each of these, and it kind of blends into the architecture pretty well. You know, you can tell that they're there, but they kind of look like the other you know, sort of mechanical utility systems. And then in the upper right, you can see this is Scenario Village. So in the upper right-hand corner, you can see another of those antennas with the radio below it mounted on a mast. And then in the lower right-hand corner here is kind of the worst case scenario where we can't mount the radio inside the building, and it's kind of going to be visible no matter what we do. On the Santa Rosa campus, when we have cases like this, for example, at Emeritus Hall, we're going to put the radio inside a metal utility box that'll be painted the same color as the building. So we're doing our very best to find ways to make these blend into the architecture as much as possible. This week they're working on Santa Rosa and Schoen Farm, and then it'll all be complete. The new completion date is June 10th. So everything will be done by then.
Thank you, Dan. Next is Ryan Leahy.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. For the Schoen Farm AG portables, we had finishes were completed in early March. And the punch walk was completed in mid-March. And currently the contractor is working on punch list items. And for the Schoen Farm new greenhouse, in March, the foundation was poured, underground gas and electrical were installed, and the erection crew began standing the building. And then for Garcia renovations, in March, we had hydronics and audio visual roughed in, and insulation was installed. And then we're also drywall stocking the first week of April. So this week.
Thank you, Ryan. Heather.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So we are nearing completion. The Bailey Fieldhouse, you can see all the ceramic tile is in, the epoxy flooring is down the first floor, and the carpet at the second floor. Toilet partitions and accessories are installed, and we're just finishing the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing trim right now. You can see there's a second floor deck. The pavers have been installed. The trellis is painted, and the louvers will be installed later this month. You can see that the Bear Cup signage in that photo. And then over at the pool, like all the equipment's been installed. You can see the diving boards, you can see the pool covers in that photo, the light fixtures, the fencing, the gates are installed, the handrails. We actually have this, the county coming out tomorrow for the pre-plaster inspection, and then we will plaster the pool next week and fill it with water, assuming everything goes well with the county tomorrow. So overall, for both the field house and for the new outdoor pool, we're looking to start doing the punch list at the end of April and then finish that and start turning it over late May, early June.
Thank you, Heather. Rhonda.
Good afternoon. STEM is moving along well. Second and third floor slabs have been poured. They're laying out partitions and installing clips for fireproofing. Tomorrow morning, we've got a second pour on the first floor, which will finish that. And then next week, we're doing pouring on the rooftop.
Thank you, Rhonda. Maggie, did you have a question on the cat?
Oh, yeah, I just had a question for Heather. I was wondering where the water's coming from. I mean, they truck in water, right?
We probably won't be trucking in water. We'll probably use water that's here on campus. They've been using it as temp water. So
To fill the pool, we'll have enough.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we will.
Okay, Thanks.
Alan?
Okay, next up is Amy.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Bertolini Student Health Services, the punch list is completed, and we are working on the closeout documentation. The campus-wide security project is also in the punch list phase, and we are scheduled for April 20th for a walkthrough with facilities and the police and the IT department. Baker Hall lab renovation is in punch list phase also, with a final walk scheduled with facilities for April 18th, and then we will be receiving the closeout documentation. The foundation new office building, the concrete slab has been poured, and actually the walls many of the walls are standing right now. And the framing will continue through the end of April, and it will be followed by rough-in mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And this project has a 12-month timeline.
Thank you, Amy. Next is Mike.
Hello, everyone. Little jealous of you, Amy, and how quickly the foundation building is going up, but we're making really good progress on student housing as well. So we're finally out of the ground. You can start to see in the right image the framing of a lot of the walls at the first floor. So not only does it now allow us to start to visualize, but it also means many additional trades and tradespeople are able to get on site and do what they need to do. Right now, we're averaging over 25 people a day, and that's going to continue to go up. And then here, just starting to be able to visualize some of the spaces. There's a hallway or corridor on the left, and some of the public spaces, the entry in the middle, and then just a close-up of metal stud framing. But things are going well, and just want to let everyone know in the next probably month and a half, we're going to be doing another site visit. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, if you're interested, never hesitate to reach out to Seraphin or myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That concludes our project updates. We have additionally 6 items on the agenda for you to approve next week. The first item is change order number 4 for the Garcia Hall alterations project to Hawley and Associates. This would take our total change orders to 8.89%. This change order includes several items that we're addressing due to the extensive abatement and demolition that we had to do to the project. So there were different door types that needed to be accommodated, some security hardware, and there is an additional door opening also that was requested, and we were including that in this change order. The next item is the amendment to deal with a lot of these changes for the Garcia Hall for the architect, SFA. So this is amendment number 5 for SFA. Again, it's a relatively small amendment of $7,300. The next item is a amendment number 1 to SFA, who's also working on the design of the Busman Phase 3 project. This is the IT administration area. This amendment will have the architect address all of the issues that DSA brought up during their review. Again, it's another small amendment, $2,800. The next item is a change order number 2 for Earth Tone Construction, who's building the greenhouse at Sean Farm. This will take our total change orders to 2.57%. This actually includes a credit for a material cost. It was actually cheaper than what was originally bid. This contractor has been forthcoming with this information. So they gave us a credit on that item, and there was a material increase on the actual building framing. So it's a combination of the two. credited and an add. So we have a total change order of $1,200. The next item is a contract approval for Dileski Family Construction. They will do the structural testing for the Towser Gymnasium at $141,617. And then finally, we have change order number 1 for the foundation building to Rossfeld Construction. And this includes the installation of fiber cable run from the building to which will connect to the building next door to the fiber loop at 705 Elliott. So the fiber loop project included the installation of the conduit, but because we didn't have all the information at the time to include the fiber, it wasn't included in this contract. So this adds the fiber only as a change order at $9,341. That completes the items that we're presenting next week and also completes my report, unless you have any questions.
No, go, Caroline.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. I was just going to ask if I could speak. Yeah, I just had a couple of quick things. First of all, I wanted to say I'm really appreciated the kind of expanded report on sustainability and the things that are going on. Because as Maggie was saying, I think that there's some really great stuff happening there. And I was just wondering, kind of along that line, but in terms of thinking about sustainability and the environment, the first thing that you talked about, Seraphim, I think it was maybe under the purchasing items type things, was the pesticides. I understand that, of course, we have to have them and we're supposed to go with the lowest bid. But I'm just wondering, do we know how safe they are just overall? And just because just on a personal level, I have a lot of concerns about pesticides, especially when you're spraying them over a large amount of land, if you will. And so I was just wondering if we have any information about, to the extent that they can be, how safe they are for to be around humans. So, and then the only other thing before you answer that is I wondered if it's appropriate to ask about if there are any updates on the Southwest Center. So anyway, those were my 2 questions.
Okay. Kate, do you want me to, I can address the pest control item. Okay. So just to be, just to provide a little bit of clarity on that, the contract is for pest control services. So what they would do is that they would monitor our facilities. This includes buildings as well as our sites, parking lots, et cetera. And so if there are pests that are actually detected in the areas, then they will come up with a plan of how they will mitigate those pests. And those plans are presented to the district and approved prior to execution. Execution is probably a wrong word to use because there are no, typically what they do is they will collect the pest and then they will free them somewhere else. So there's always, definitely we're always looking to make sure that there are no chemicals that are going to be harmful to the human or occupants of the building. And we also, do take into consideration the actual pests that they're not being harmed as well. So that's all shared with the district. Like I said, the mitigation plan is shared with the district before it's actually carried out. And again, we're definitely looking to make sure that there are no measures that are used that will harm either humans or animals.
Great, thank you. That's good to know. Thanks for explaining that.
Okay, and then regarding the Southwest Center, we've actually are in the process of entering escrow as we speak, and we are looking to have for that to close in less than 30 days. So right now we're anticipating that we would have that complete before the end of the month, and take over the property by May 1st. So this next month's going to be pretty busy for us with the current owners as far as transitioning of the property.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Seraphin. Are there any other questions from anyone? Are there any, let's see, where's Glenn? Are there any questions from the public? Does the public have any question?
I don't see any hands raised from the public, so we're good.
Okay. Well, that's it. I believe that's all the business we need to do today. We don't need to approve the, I can't remember, to approve the items for consent, correct? I don't recall.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All right. Well, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.